To our wonderful sponsors, our guests, our dancers, our educators, and our dedicated volunteers, thank you, thank you, thank you. As a nonprofit, you guys are the heartbeat of our organization. We couldn't do it without you. And I think we came through a lot. We survived COVID, which was tremendous for us. It was very, very difficult. And coming out on the other side with a lot of renewed hope is really invigorating, and it gives us all a lot of optimism to look forward to. The move was a huge endeavor. We came out on the best side of that. We're excited. Sharron spoke about it early. Dance really has a power that's undeniable and unwavering in its ability to transform lives. And we see it every single day. And even though many arts organizations over the last few years have suffered, they've lost a lot of their funding, they really have degraded tremendously. I think one reason that SMAPA still is where it is and continues to win the great support that we have is because of the excellence and the stellar work and the reputation and the legacy that Sharron and team have brought over the years. So in that regard, we're doing well, and we're very thankful that we get the continued support that we do. But again, each and every one of you here means so much to us, and we thank you so much for enjoying this evening with us. And to that, let's do a toast. Let's raise our glass. And also a big happy birthday to Sharron. So, to the universal language of movement. To the joy and generosity shared in this room tonight. And to a brilliant and enduring future for Sharron Miller's Academy for the Performing Arts. Thank you all. Food's over there. I found out through the grapevine Ms. Sharron loves anything pistachio. So I made a pistachio cake for her.
Q&A is in about 15 minutes, everybody. We're going to have it right here. So everybody's going to line up this way.
Over to Susan Pope to kick us off. Good evening, everyone. And welcome to this extended celebration of artistry, education, and community. It is such a pleasure to be in conversations with these three phenomenal artists tonight. And I just have to say, give a huge, huge thank you to Sharron. You know, I brought my class to Sharron to the studio last week. Today they were still talking about it. There was no one has ever talked to us like that. It's just been so truthfully and brutally honest. So thank you for pouring into them. So we have just experienced a beautiful, beautiful film that captures over 30 years of SMAPA. And we know that SMAPA not only trains and develops talented dancers, but it nurtures creative and positive human beings, which many of you have met tonight. So tonight we have the privilege of continuing this story in conversation with Sharron Miller, the founder of SMAPA, with Adrienne Armstrong, a talented dance educator and performer in her own right, and Chalvar Monteiro, a celebrated former dancer with the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater. All three have, as you've heard, have a deep connection to Ailey's legacy, and that legacy celebrates the power of dance to transform communities. So together we'll explore how that spirit has taken root at SMAPA, how it has shaped their journeys, and how they're each carrying this work into the future. So we want to start first with Sharron. And this was the question that my students had before coming to the studio. Now they know. But just for anybody else. Sharron, what inspired you to start SMAPA? And how has your vision evolved over the past 30 years?
First of all, SMAPA was never a dream. I didn't have a clue as to what I could do once I moved to Montclair. And I got tired of going back and forth to New York for the same auditions, the result would always be the same. So I said, self, what do you know how to do? And the only thing, which to some people might be detrimental, but the only thing I knew how to do and do it well was dance. And I had no idea that I could make a living, but more important, I could make a life by doing what I love doing. So the vision came because my daughter was at a nursery school. I got stuck in the Lincoln Tunnel. I couldn't get back to her in a timely way, and I said, this is it. I can't do it anymore. And ultimately, I went to the YWCA, which was on Glenridge Avenue. It is now the Family Y. And I spoke with a woman about renting a studio. And she said, well, why don't you start a program? And that's how the vision started. So it started at the Y, and we are, which hasn't been said tonight now that I think about it, we are a not-for-profit 501c3 arts education organization. And I was at the Y, and they were obviously a 501c3 arts education organization in that area. They were more than an arts education organization. And I realized that the playing field was level when you have that kind of tax write-off, so to speak. So with a lot of help, people helped me to get my 501c3, and from there, the rest is history. It's about the community. The community supported us. The vision was a seed planted, and the growth of it was because you all have nurtured it. And so for that, I thank you. The second part of that question was?
The second part of that was, how has your vision evolved over the past 30 years?
Well, since I'm 80, I realize this is very important. I realized that we started with children between the ages of 3 and 4. Well, at 80, you know what I'm saying? I'm still dancing. I'm still teaching. I'm still moving. I'm still healthy. And I think it's because of dance. So my vision has changed to incorporate and include all ages, not just children, not just teens. And as a bonus to that, the Montclair Foundation gave us a grant to support a seniors program free of charge. So we have 3 classes a week free of charge for all seniors 65 and over. I can take the class.
So this next question is for all 3 of you. So each of you can answer in whatever way you choose. So how has your connection to the Alvin Ailey American Dance Theater influenced the way you see dance as both an art form and a vehicle for community transformation? So either in your performance career, in your teaching, just how has your connection to Ailey influenced the way you see dance?
I'll start. What I love about the philosophy of Alvin Ailey and kind of the mission statement of the company is that dance comes from the people and should be given back to the people. And so I feel that what I loved about my time in the company and all the stories that I got to tell was that Mr. Ailey really took a lot of time to glorify all walks of life, people from all backgrounds, and giving them a platform. So people that were in the church were just as dignified as the people on the street. People on the street had just as rich a story and a lifeline in his works. And so I think that as an artist And as an educator, as a choreographer, it really gives me license to kind of thread all those things together and give my own voice a higher platform, and to entertain my emotions, to think about my ancestors, people that came before me, the shoulders that I stand on, and really not only do them justice, but also to think about the people coming after me and making sure that I exercise my voice well. Making sure that I think about the people coming after me when I teach my classes, giving them license to engage with risk. What do you see as a challenge that's worth leaning into fully, and just to see what's on the other side. It's not about perfection, but it's about attempting something and seeing what's on the other side.
Beautiful, thank you.
Okay, well, for me it's a little different. Alvin's effect on me was phenomenal because I came from not knowing anything about basically the arts, from Newark. And when I was growing up in the 60s, there wasn't much in Newark, and riots happened soon after that. And I started my dance career in the area, but it wasn't until after high school that I even heard about him. Now my parents had heard of him because he came to Newark, right, in the 60s. My mom, especially, because they were, they did a lot of things. And they didn't know of Alvin. They didn't know of dance. All they knew was that their little girl was in ballet class. And I relived that because you said in Newark. Well, I was in Newark, and so they called me white girl because I was a ballerina. I had my pink tights, my pink shoes, and I go to ballet with my tutu on, and they called me white girl in my neighborhood. My cousins, my family, not only the people, my family called me white girl. But they did it lovingly, but they didn't know that I was gonna do it no matter what. And so what happened when I found out about Alvin Ailey was when I went to the audition. I went to the audition and I was like, whoa, this is amazing. Because I had only did ballet. I was a ballet dancer at that time. I danced with Capitol Ballet, one of the only black ballet companies in America, dancing on point, all the brown shoes and all of that, right? And so I didn't even know about Alvin Ailey, and so it was a complete surprise to me. I was like, what? And then he said to me, I want you to be like Judy. I was like, Judy? Why did you shoot me? And it was ironic because the person who was teaching, the artistic director was Mary Barnett. Mary Barnett was the artistic director, but she was a friend of my cousins who lived in Newark. And she was like, girl, you better come on to school. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna come, after I left the ballet company. But what I found out from Alvin was he went into the community. And that's what that's what I'm doing. I teach in public school. I teach in public school, and of course, Sharron keeps me healthy and alive because public school is another, what do you call it, the big elephant in the room, but anyway. So I learned with Alvin was, we performed everywhere. I was in all 3 companies. I did everything. I was in the school, I was in the 3rd company, I was in the 2nd company, and then I finally auditioned and made it into the 1st company. So my whole tenure was 10 years with Alvin. And I learned that he wanted to take dance to the people. We performed in prisons. We performed at Port Authority bus stop. We performed anywhere. And what he said, he was really serious. We taking dance to the people. We taking the dance to the people.
Well, when I was in Africa with Alvin, we had a State Department tour. The State Department booked these beautiful theaters, and the African higher echelon people were able to come and see these performances. And we wondered why in the middle of the orchestra, there were like 10 rows of empty seats. And it was because protocol mandated that no people, normal people, could sit in front of prime ministers. And so all these seats were empty, and all these people were outside wanting to see our performance. Alvin decided the next day to do an outdoor performance for those people. So that's the kind of influence that I think all of us on some level have had with our experience with Ailey.
Beautiful, thank you so much. This Alvin Ailey thread is so strong. You know, and you think about dance as a quilt. Someone had talked about, you know, quilt telling stories. If you think of dance as a quilt and the Alvin Ailey thread in that quilt, how do you see that lineage of that Alvin Ailey's thread reflected in the work happening at SMAPA today? So I know you had said briefly, talked about how, you know, just coming here and seeing so much of your SMAPA family. You know, and I know when I walked in, I saw so many people just hugging each other, like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you. It's so, and I just kind of stood back and watched. I'm like, wow, this is really the definition of family. So what is that? How was that thread reflected in the work at SMAPA today, or even when you were there?
Yeah. A big component of my scholarship with SMAPA had a lot to do with studying all the genres of dance, and I think that reflects. Hello. A big part of my training at SMAPA had a lot to do with placing equal value in all genres of dance, and I think that had a lot to do with Mr. Ailey's, again, his vision and his eye for all different types of people, and everybody being on the same level. There was no better experience. And so I think, so my training, ballet, West African, hip hop, tap, jazz, they were all valued as a part of my training, not just as a dancer, but also as a human being, to understand where they come from, why they're important, and where that'll take me. I never would have imagined that the tap classes that I took from Maurice Chestnut would come in handy. 20 years later, I'm in London doing pre-production work for The Little Mermaid with Halle Bailey, shuffling my feet, doing my best soft shoe. And you know, so it's like, so really thinking about how my training, again, becoming a well-rounded person, not just an artist, but really thinking about how rhythm, collaboration, teamwork, building community within the dance class, and also in the hallways, saying hi to people, being respectful to the receptionists, building relationships with your teachers. It all lends itself to becoming just a world-class citizen, I feel, which is, I think, has everything to do with Mr. Ailey and who he was.
How has that Alvin Ailey thread, how do you see that Alvin Ailey thread reflected in the work happening at SMAPA today?
Okay, so SMAPA. I think a lot of what Chalvar said about the fact that we incorporate all different styles of dance. We have a wonderful flamenco. They perform now for our end of the year show every year, and it's phenomenal. And the fact that we teach, we have Haitian dance, we have tap dance, and it's all important. I went to Alvin Ailey not knowing any modern dance. He was like, you need to learn modern dance. So he said, there's 27 types of modern dance. I'm like, really? I don't know none of them. So I had to come. When I first went there, I had to learn. I had Horton 1, Horton 2, and modern. I had no modern dance training at all. I had a little bit of jazz, And so I had to learn all of that. And also, the fact that when I was there, I got a chance to work with Catherine Dunham. Are you kidding me? I was like, some people don't even know who Catherine Dunham is. I'm like, she's the matriarch of dance or black dance or modern dance. Depends on what Google, form you listen to, but all of these things I got through Alvin Ailey, I wouldn't have been able to, and the fact that we got to travel, my first tour, I'm a little girl from New York, my first tour was to Australia and China. I was like, what? What? So, and so it inspired me to come back here and do it. And for some people here in New Jersey, that's one of the reasons why I still teach dance in public school, because I'm like, it's gotta be, I gotta share this. I can't keep it to myself. It's too much. The love, the art form. Not only that, Alvin loved every art form. It wasn't just dance. It was art, it was visual art. He worked with Romero Bearden. He did the backdrop for Stack Up. He worked with poets. He worked with the Indian piece they did. They did a piece, he was like, Adrienne, I can't move my neck like that, Alvin. I was like, oh God, I can't. I would have had a nice solo. I couldn't move my neck. April would do it. April did it. She did that. I couldn't move my neck like that. So, he made us go out on a limb and try to experience different things. And it's what I try to bring to my students in my classrooms. Some of them get it, some of them don't. But especially at Sharron's, they get it a little bit more than the public school students. But some of them do get it. Some of them call me after they graduate, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. And it was only because I inspired them, something in them, because there were some students who actually did my performances, learned my dances, and I think that I'm trying to bring that to Newark, to the community, because I'm like, it was such a wonderful experience for me. And if you love dance, then why can't it, you get some type of happiness from it?
I have nothing more to say. I mean, it is a quilt, and we're diverse, particularly in Montclair. We're obviously a diverse community, and we want to embrace all people. And I know that in this current, I hate to go there, political environment, we're not supposed to say diversity, we're not supposed to say all these other words that are inclusive. We are inclusive. We celebrate your differences, we celebrate our likenesses, and we often celebrate them through dance. Each culture has dance as an inherent part of it. And we as professional dancers, I think, have an obligation to our young people coming up to serve them through our art form, which is dance. And that's why we have it at SMAPA, and that's why SMAPA has so many dance residencies in 10 schools in Patterson, 5 schools in Union City, and 1 school in Newark. That's it.
You are all over the place. This one is for whoever wants to answer it. If you all want to answer it, that's fine. So we still have a couple more questions. But do you have a personal story, something that has happened in the past that just really sticks out in your mind? A personal story that illustrates the power of dance to build bridges and transform.
It's very short. We believe in inclusion. And we were at a time a few years ago teaching for the Renaissance School in Montclair. And they came to our studio for dance and drama. And one child came in a wheelchair, and I went, oh my God, what do we do for dance for this young man? And he was very, nonchalant. I'm gonna dance in my wheelchair. But then he got up, and he started moving across the floor, and his prosthetic leg came off. And I didn't know what to do other than to go over, pick it up, and give it back to him. And he said, thank you. He put it back on and continued dancing. And it was with that experience that I said, you know, whether you're in a wheelchair, whether you're in crutches, whether you have a prosthetic leg, you can move your body, you can feel, you can create through movement. Even as Jacques D'Amboise says, you come out of the womb moving. You start to crawl, then you start to walk, then you start to run. And that's what we do. We all do that, no matter what color, what gender, what your religion, it doesn't matter. So we try and encompass all of that. So that's the one story that I will never forget, when Carrie's leg came off.
It has been said many times tonight how SMAPA is a home. It's a family. You can see the love in the room tonight. You can feel it. So what makes a dance space feel like home? And how can educators cultivate that kind of environment?
Can I say one word? Respect. Respect. We respect each other. It's not because you're a grown-up, it's not because you're an elder, it's because you're you. And when you come to SMAPA to learn, part of what we're supposed to give you is a love of dance and self-discipline, self-respect, but a respect of your space and others. And when you feel there are no risks, it makes you feel like you can create. You can get beyond that fear and get to that heart. And that heart engenders creativity. And when you feel safe in an environment, it's like being home. You feel at home. And when you're at SMAPA, I hope everyone there feels at home.
For mine is consistency, because they need to know you're there, I'm there. I rarely miss a rehearsal. I'm there every Saturday. They probably wish I would take a day off. So I think it's consistency, that you need to be there. Like, and I try to tell my students, like, if you signed up for this class, you need to be there. You need to be on time. And don't leave early, don't go to the bathroom, don't be late, you know. So to me, it's consistency, that we're there and they know that we're gonna be there.
So recently I've been rereading All About Love by Bell Hooks. And what I find to be true in that text and in what I learned through Sharron is what makes a community or a dance home tangible is love as a verb, love in action. And so it was made very clear to me as a 12-year-old that to be here, your best is required. To be in a relationship with me, your best is required. It is not only being considerate of yourself, but it's everybody you're in the classroom with. It's being in dress code. It's managing your time well. It's managing your emotions well. It's treating others well. And so to know that everybody is required to show up in the same way allows me to rest in someone else that I might not be as familiar with, but to know that you love me, or because you love this space, your best version of yourself is in the room. So I'm safe to feel awkward in the space. I'm okay to be seen trying and it not working out the first time, because there's respect in the room, because everyone's best self is present.
How beautiful. So all of our educators need to hear.
Yeah.
I'm hoping it will get to them.
The rest of my students, they're not here.
In watching the documentary tonight, it brought me such joy to see your dancers highlighted, to see these dancers just moving and demonstrating the words that you are speaking through movement. So Sharron, this question is for you. Many of your students have gone on to make their own impact in the dance world and beyond, like our two beautiful dancers here. How does it feel to witness the ripple effect of your teaching across generations?
I remember the first time Chalvar, by the way, was my student. No, she wasn't, but he was, from the time he was 12. And I remember the first time he performed Revelations at City Center. He called me and he said he wanted to give me house seats. And that was the first time that I was receiving house seats from a student who was going to be performing something that I had performed 100 years ago. And I sat in the audience and I was with another parent, and they said, how does it feel? Is it better when you were on the stage? Was that feeling better than watching your student perform the same thing? And I said, watching my student perform the same piece that I did 100 years ago was so wonderful. There was no other joy I could experience. So passing it on and seeing how passing it on does create unbelievable people, unbelievable artists, and I'm so proud of him I could scream.
I'm sure that must be such an incredible feeling. This question is for Adrienne and Chalvar. Having experienced both professional stage and community students, being accomplished artists in your own right, how do you balance the pursuit of artistic excellence, the daily grind of training, with the responsibility of nurturing and uplifting others through dance teaching? How do you balance? How do you find that balance?
Sure. Most recently, while I was still in the Ailey company, a good balance came about when I discovered my desire and my interest in teaching. So returning back to the place where that seed was implanted in me was kind of the most rewarding thing. And it helps sustain or even reinvigorate my desire for performance and what I enjoy about performance. So, being on stages around the world, you're able to kind of be enraptured in this world where the world falls away, you forget there's an audience, you're in these amazing theaters, and you're just on stage with the people next to you, and the world just falls away. All your responsibilities, all the woes waiting for you on the other side of the curtain kind of just fall away for an hour and a half or so. But it's going back into the studios and giving language to your experience. It's defining a philosophy, examining what your value system is and why it's important to you and why it might be of value to the people coming up after you. So for me, going into the studios is where I realized what was implanted in me at SMAPA is how you do anything is how you do everything. So it's about integrity. Working hard when nobody's watching. Working hard without worrying about the applause. Treating somebody well without looking for somebody to see that you did something nice for somebody else. And so really paying that forward to students is what helped me sustain not just the 10 years that I was in the Ailey company, but the 6 years before as a freelance artist where it really felt like a thankless job. And really doing my best to make ends meet, commuting from Montclair to New York and just really trying to make sense of it all. So it was the teaching, the intimate spaces that made the grand spaces make more sense. Oh, question. What's the question?
Yeah, I want to make sure I answer it right. So it's about, does he talk? I don't know.
This is about how do you find your balance between the daily grind of training and the responsibility of teaching?
Ooh.
You don't.
So, training and teaching to me is two things, they're the same. So, unfortunately, I'm in a position where the balance is very hard. Because I'm in a position where I'm teaching and I'm training at the same time. Instead of teaching and training and teaching and training. Because when you're teaching, it kind of just throwing stuff at kids and hoping they'll catch it. Like, okay, we gotta do this, we gotta do this, you gotta learn this, you gotta learn this. But when you're training, you're going a little bit more in depth, I think, as far as the training goes. And that's where the consistency comes in. Where you have them, okay, our program, we only see our kids once a week. So I have an hour and a half to train them on what they need to know, and that's not a lot of time. All right. Now I teach kids 40-minute classes, and that ain't a lot of time either. Because 40 minutes is nothing. Because as soon as you sit down and go to the bathroom, 20 minutes is gone. So we have a lot of time constraints on it, and when we see our kids, they're like I say, the consistency. They have to come in on Monday and take their ballet class. They didn't come in and take their jazz class or their whatever class they're taking, and they need to take those classes. So that, and it's a lot on them too. It's not just us. Okay, you're supposed to get your training in ballet on Monday and Tuesday, and then come to modern on Saturday. You know, so I think it's a combination of both, and it's a precarious balance. Yeah, and sometimes the students, they're like, they're not really into it. So then we battle that effort, and what you were saying about, are they putting their all into this, or are they just coming to class? So that's a big balance in it. And then it's up to us to try to get that out of them. Like, no, am I telling you this? I told you this last week. Yeah. You're supposed to remember this from last week. So, you know, then we have to put the onus back on the students, and like, if you're here for growth, we're not here just to stay the same. I tell them that. They think I'm very hard on you. Back here. Yeah, I'm very hard on you, right? Because I say, look, if you're not here to grow, I wish you'd come back and take my class. Those kids think they're gonna grow. So my young ones now, they're having a problem growing. I'm like, no, y'all gotta grow. You can't come to class and stay the same each class. Your training says that when you come to class, I'm supposed to teach you something. That's why I say it's both. And then I gotta train you how to do it, and then you gotta do it. Yeah? Say more, because I can talk.
You all have been so incredibly gracious tonight, so thank you. I have one more question. And this question is actually just for Sharron.
Yay!
Sharron, looking ahead.
Oh.
What?
The next chapter.
90.
90s.
What hopes or dreams do you have for the next generation of dancers coming through SMAPA's doors?
First of all, it's really hard at 80 to keep thinking ahead. But I will. And I think what I would love to have happen, you know, I heard once someone said, it'll be so wonderful when we won't have to hear someone say, I was the first Black person, or I was the first. Just I was. I am. That's what I hope will be the legacy of SMAPA. That SMAPA 2020, what year is it? 25. So 2035, 2045, I feel that it will continue because there are people like Chalvar who they know what is needed. They know what has to happen. So my vision is to have it not be a place where someone says, I was the first black student, or I was the first person who made it into Alvin Ailey's company, or I was the first. I don't want that. I want it to be a unanimous embracing of those who care to dream. That's it.
Thank you. Thank all of you. Thank you, everyone here. You know, everyone has been touched by SMAPA. We hope that you will continue to share this dream, to share this family with all that you know, and encourage any and everyone to continue donating and supporting SMAPA. So thank you all.
If anybody took any Polaroid photos, I think Sharron Miller might sign it if she was so inclined. And that's it, thank you.